Titanium Tuesday. Get up and try reminds me of the Punisher.
Yeah.
That sucker, he just kept getting up.
Yeah.
And he just did it over again.
He kept getting punished, and he kept delivering punishment.
That's right.
Yeah. The nice little cycle.
This was fun to look into the psychology kind of this character.
Yeah.
And referencing specifically the movie in 2004.
Yep.
One of the things that, as I was learning about the Punisher character, is he actually is a sober. Frank Castle is a sober man.
Yep.
And so this was kind of a stretch for the film,
Right.
I guess. And I didn't know that at the time.
Yeah.
But one of the philosophies he had was that he didn't want to forget, his wife and child.
Which they kind of went into with the memory type things.
Yeah.
Which was cool.
That was super cool, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And then that he wanted to obviously always be alert.
Yeah.
And, ready for punishing.
Yeah, that's right. You never know when you might need to shoot someone.
I'm really enjoying doing this and exploring some of these things and characters and stuff with you. So I hope you are too.
I love it.
I don't know, but
I love anti-heroes too.
Yeah.
I think they're more believable characters than just straight up heroes.
Agreed. However, he's a little bit of an anti-hero in the sense that he executes people.
Yep.
Word it like that.
Yep.
Because he was military.
Yep.
That's kind of a hero mentality.
Yep.
And then he goes into the FBI.
Sure does.
That's kind of a hero mentality.
Yeah.
But the execution piece of it, right?
Yeah. Right.
I guess that's where it's the anti-hero.
Yeah.
Sort of.
And yeah, so I mean, if you look at a lot of superheroes, the reason that they're not anti-heroes is because they'll never execute. They'll let the law be the law.
Right.
And there was even a statement within this film of sometimes the law has to be skirted around to actually execute justified punishment.
Well, the line too that the healing man on the island or whatever, he says, God be with you, or God go with you, I think it was, and he says God's gonna sit this one out.
Yeah. Oh, that was good.
But yeah, so it's kind of, what do you think? Because, but then Batman is the classic, he's not going to kill anybody type thing. Except for he lets people die. Is there really a difference?
No. But.
And I was having a conversation with somebody, this was probably a year ago, I bet.
Yeah.
And it was like, well, what about the 10 Commandments? Thou shalt
not kill.
Well, it's actually murder.
Yeah, right.
That's the literal translation is murder. It's not kill.
Yeah.
And so then you have to look at and what's the definition of murder versus kill?
Yeah.
So the kill is like in a sense you can use that as a self-defense.
Right.
You kill somebody. Capital punishment.
Yep.
The Punisher.
Yeah.
Kill.
Yeah.
And so the people say, well, what about he's murdering, murdering. And it's like, well, and they try to measure that against the 10 Commandments. It's weird when people do that, though.
Yeah.
Have you ever run into that yet, or are you still too young?
I'm probably still too young.
Yeah.
To get into those logistics.
It's just interesting how people kind of want to attach weird things to Scripture.
Yeah, for their own justified morals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
this one I will say, I mean, there's the intent to kill, but I mean, I will say I feel like a lot of times Batman goes into situations with not the intention to kill, like the Joker, Bane. This one, at the end of it, you knew he was going to kill. Good old Travolta. Yeah.
No question.
Yeah. I think that's consistent with his characters of like he's not going to he's going to punish. Like he's going to kill, and that's usually his intention going into it too. So,
yes,
I really liked Thomas Jane too as Frank Castle.
I was about to ask it that, because right before we started recording, you talked about the series.
You
you talked about the series and him, John, and so it's I was wondering what you thought. Thomas Jane is one of those guys that he either really brings it well,
Yeah.
or it's really awful.
Right.
And he, to me, for me, he brought it.
Yeah, he absolutely did.
I agree, with you. Did what did you think of some of the others? Did you? But before that, I want to say, the wrestler, was it Nash? Something Nash?
Oh,
was
yeah.
his Kevin or the Russian?
Yeah, I remember him. And then watching his face balloon in the nice little hot water. That was funny to watch.
But he, in his, he's a wrestler.
Yeah.
And so one of his things was his hair.
Yeah.
And he had to cut it for this role, this part.
Interesting.
And so he told his fans, because he couldn't tell them it was for the movie, it was in the movie, that he made this bet with Chris Jericho.
Oh, interesting.
That was kind of the, so some of those fun things too,
that is fun.
These people get to go through, but
and we got to watch him get murdered.
Yes.
So, yeah, I mean, and I really like the backstory of Frank Castle. And I'm glad they played into it, that we could actually connect with his wife and his kid for a little bit, and then not watch them get murdered. I did not enjoy that, but it made the character more panned out. And I really, really like the Punisher T-shirt. It's so iconic.
It is iconic, and the way they tied it in was pretty neat too.
Yeah.
Where the kid gave it to him,
right? Which I think is pretty in tune with the character too. Is why he.
I believe so.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you're talking the comic.
Yeah.
The
right.
character. It's history. Yeah. Yeah, I know it is. It's interesting,
which is crazy because I mean I don't think, to me, the Punisher isn't a widely known anti-hero. Like, he's known, but he's not like crazy popular.
Not Captain America or like I said, Batman or whatever earlier. No, that's absolutely true. However, I think that with the different series and some of that,
that's true.
The connection though that I found with people is a lot of times it's not with like the comics.
Yeah.
It's just with like the TV or movies.
Yeah,
like,
which is fair.
It's like, oh, this was a comic character? What?
Yeah. Right, that's true.
So, which is kind of interesting, and it's probably helpful for the character because that way you don't get some of these diehard comic people being like, that's not it.
They're not following the storyline, man.
And sometimes I agree with that. I think that you're doing something. You're trying to honor the history of the character, and you're doing an awful job.
Right.
So just don't even try.
Right. Just do a whole different thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. There has to be some alignment with the direction of the film you want to go and the character that you want to use with it.
Right. I like too how this character, marksman.
Yep.
They established that with his dad at the beginning, there at
cool.
the island, how the guns and stuff and all the different weapons. So they're establishing that he's a marksman.
Yep.
They're establishing that he's a fighter with some of the other things that they did earlier in the military and all that.
Yeah.
And that he's when they walked through some of these his background in the FBI, that he's a strategist.
Yeah.
Like he's very intelligent and he could do this
one of the best in his trade.
Yeah. And so they do all these things right away so that obviously later in the film, as he's getting the snot beat out of him, you know he can come back from it, right?
Yeah, exactly.
It's like
this is not the end.
Yeah. I like when they get the crap beat out of him though, because that's
exactly.
real.
Yeah. That's why the Punisher, Daredevil, that's why I like Batman. Is like you understand that they're human because oftentimes they get the beat, their body takes a toll. And they usually are willing to show that in the film and how they can overcome it versus I always hate Superman. He has too much.
I know you do.
He has too much superpowers. Like you punch him, he has a hole. You shoot him in the eye with a gun and it just Like to me, that's not entertaining. Like Captain America, I have some same issues with that too. But I enjoy with these type of characters. Wolverine is an interesting one, in the sense of he heals, but you can still see the pain that he goes through. And so I like that type of stuff I really do and enjoy. And I see it in the Punisher. And so I think when that happens, I'm usually more enticed for what the film's going to be.
Yeah. No, I think that's true for me too. I like Superman an awful lot, as you know.
I do.
And I think the reason why is because of the supernatural part of it. I think that's always fun and attractive, especially as a kid. That was, Superman. That was all there really was, other than the '60s Batman. And I didn't really have
Adam
exposure.
West.
Yeah.
Woo!
Right, I know. That's all that weird stuff. Exactly. It's funny, man.
Oh.
So they had the Superman movies in the late '70s, early '80s, and I was a kid.
Yeah.
And so I got to watch that stuff. It was
and
very
those
clean,
were good.
And I mean, it was very good. Christopher Reeves was a fantastic man.
Yeah.
All these other things. So that's what I kind of got attached to really young.
That's fair.
And the supernatural part of it is like, that's kind of cool.
And the symbol of hope.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But when you have a real human character,
Yeah.
I want them to be human.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I don't want them to be invincible.
Yeah. That's just not fun.
It's not real.
Yeah.
You're trying to make him real, and then like Captain America, I agree. Like, he's not a human anymore.
No.
Really.
No, he's not.
So,
what do you think of the supporting cast?
well, I thought, let's start with the acting part of it.
Yeah.
I think that John Travolta did about the worst performance I've really seen him do.
Did. It was so brutal.
I'm like, what are you doing here?
Yeah. He did not belong. One of these things is not like the other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I didn't care for that. I don't know if he needed a payday or what his motivations were there, but I've seen, Nicolas Cage on his worst day does better than that.
Right. Yeah.
He's quirky,
he shows
weird.
emotion.
Yeah. And so I don't know. That was a little bit weird. I really, 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 really like Bill Paxton, or did I get his name right? Where is he? I thought
Will Patton.
Will Patton. Yeah.
It's Quentin.
I like him as an actor. I don't know. There's something about him that seems really real and genuine when he's doing things. So I thought he did a pretty good job.
Yeah.
The dad, Roy Schroeder, whatever his name is.
Cat.
The little bit he was in it, he did well because, he's the Jaws guy, of course.
Yeah, right.
So there's some of those kinds of things. Rebecca Romaine Stamos at the time.
Yeah.
I don't think she did a fantastic job, but her character was important.
Yep.
I thought that Bumbo and
yes,
other kid,
Spacker.
Yes, that he was. Those are crucial characters.
I remember watching this movie as a kid, and I must have been 12 or 13, and I remembered that scene where his piercings got pulled out, and I was like, I didn't really remember what movie it was, but then I saw him, and I was like, oh man, I know this is going to be coming at some point in this film, and I even liked his the growth of his character.
For sure.
It was so cool to see that he got a chance to be the hero.
And Mickey,
Yeah.
Eddie, who plays Eddie, whatever, who played Mickey.
Yeah.
I liked that character.
Yeah.
Because that was he was able to kind of, whatever his dad did to sacrifice, I don't know if that's in the comic or whatever, but they talked about, your dad laid down his life for me, for, Howard Saint or whatever.
Yeah.
And I think that him being a rough, not good person, recognized somebody that's even more evil than he was.
Yeah.
And so I kind of like that.
Yeah, that was good.
But it's just me, maybe.
Yeah, I can't remember how well it did, but I thought it could have deserved a sequel for sure.
It didn't do super good. I have it in my notes here. It did 54.7 million in the box office.
Okay.
In 2004, $33 million budget. So it's made a little bit of money probably.
Yeah.
Not a lot. I don't expect, but I'm not sure why.
Yeah.
I thought for the time it did really well. This is pre Iron Man.
Yeah. This would have been shortly after Spider-Man and X-Men. I didn't realize how many Marvel films were out before Iron Man.
Like X-Men was not a Marvel.
Oh, that's right. It was Fox. Yeah,
comic.
Right.
But if you just put it in comic, because when did the first Batman, the Nolan Batmans come out? 6?
Yeah, 2006,
Yeah.
2008, 2012. Yeah.
Yeah. So this was in the beginning stages of some of that 10-year run of really great
films,
like comic book hero films.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad the TV show is good as well. So if you like this movie, or if you like this movie, I would definitely check out Daredevil, the TV series, and The Punisher.
Yeah.
Same, very similar style, and like I said, I like John Bernthal as Punisher too. I probably it's hard. They both do a great job as the Punisher, old Thomas Jane and John Bernthal.
Yeah. I like John as well.
Yeah.
I haven't seen a lot of him playing the Punisher, like maybe 4 or 5 episodes at the most.
Yeah.
I did, however, The Mandalorian season 3.
Oh, you finally watched it.
Finally watched it.
What did you think?
I guess
it wasn't so much about The Mandalorian.
No, and it was interesting because they drug out too many of the stories a little too long, in my opinion, and they didn't end it very well.
No.
So, not even a good cliffhanger, just kind of a stupid place.
Yeah,
but
it'll be really interesting to see what happens with all of that. Now I have to watch Ahsoka.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see.
I don't know way Disney's.
If you didn't like Mandalorian, well,
I'm like almost every day. I'm like, I'm gonna get rid of Disney.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna get rid of Disney, and I'm gonna get rid of Disney, and I end up not getting rid of Disney because of the old stuff.
Yeah, that's fair. Loki season 2 is also good, in my opinion.
There's a lot though. My understanding of what they're doing there. Well, Jonathan Majors is an issue for Marvel right now. Big issue.
The thing is, they could easily recast him with the multiverse saga.
The problem, though, they screwed up the character. The character's dead in Loki, is what I read. I read a review on it.
Here's the thing, though, is it's the multiverse saga. And so the thing with the King Dynasty, and obviously this has direct correlation with the Punisher, except not really. The King Dynasty is all about you have so many different variants of King. So just because He Who Remains died, who is the one who died in the season 1 of the Loki, you have King the Conqueror and Ant-Man. I don't know if he's truly dead. He went into a portal. He could easily come back from that.
But again, it screws up the character, right? It confuses people at best.
Absolutely.
And at most, it's like, this is lame writing.
Yeah. Yeah, I haven't liked any of it. I did not like Ant-Man, the way they did King, and that I liked Paul Rudd, but I did not like the villain with King or Mode. Whole different story. I could talk about that for a while.
Anyway, go see The Punisher in theaters April 16th, 2004, if you have a time machine.
If not, watch it on your TV.
If you have a TV.
That's a question mark. Or
get up and try.
And leave us a review at...
You're catching on to stuff.
Yeah, I try. Well, now you distracted me. So we get up and try. And
to
leave
a
review
comment.
A comment at Maddie's Movie Mix. Nope, screwed that up. LegitQ at Maddie'sMovieMix.com.
Thanks for joining us. See you next time. Hammer the share button. Go ahead and hammer out a comment to us. Go ahead and hammer the like button. Go ahead and hammer the subscription button.
go ahead and hammer the notification bells, because you know what? That's the best way you can support us. We appreciate it.